I'm just saying, well, exactly how much does a human being have to endure before she can consider herself self-actualized? Because I really don't think I can take any more. Do you have any tips on how I might achieve transcendence before my 16th birthday? Because I would really appreciate some. Thanks. Your friend, Mia Thermopolis. P.S. Oh yeah, I forgot. You're dead. Sorry. Never mind about the tips thing. I guess I'll just look some up in the library. Tuesday, March 2nd, after school, gifted and talented. Bi-monthly meeting of the AEHS Student Government Officers. Meeting called to order. Attendance. Present. Mia Thermopolis, President. Lily Moskowitz, Vice President. Ling-Su Wong, Treasurer. Mrs. Hill, Student Government Advisor. Lars Vanderhooten, Personal Bodyguard of HRH M. Thermopolis. Absent, Tina Hakim Baba, Secretary, due to emergency retainer refitting after her little brother flushed her old one down the toilet. Which, by the way, is why I'm the one writing the minutes. Ling-Su can't, due to having artist handwriting, which is very similar to doctor handwriting, meaning it is actually indecipherable by the human eye. And Lily claims she has carpal tunnel syndrome from typing out the short story she sent into 16 Magazine's annual short fiction contest. Or, I should say, the 5 short stories she sent into 16 Magazine's annual short fiction contest. I don't know how she found the time to write 5 stories. I barely had time to write 1. Still, I think my story, No More Corn, is pretty good. I mean, it has everything a short story should have in it. Romance, pathos, suicide, corn. Who could ask for more? Motion to approve the minutes from February 15th meeting. Approved. President's report. My request that the school library remain open on weekends for the use of study groups was met with considerable resistance by school administration. Concerns raised were cost of overtime for librarian, as well as cost of overtime for school security guard at entrance to check IDs and make sure people entering were, in fact, AEHS students and not just random homeless people off the streets. Vice President's response. The gym is kept open on the weekends for sports practices. Surely the security guard could check IDs of both student athletes and students who actually care about their grades. Also, don't you think even a moderately intelligent security guard could tell the difference between random homeless people and AEHS students? President's response to Vice President. I know. I mentioned this. Principal Gupta then reminded me that the athletic budget was determined some time ago and that there is no weekend library budget, and that the security guards were mainly hired for their size, not their intelligence. Vice President's response to President's response. Well then, maybe Principal Gupta needs to be reminded that the vast majority of students at Albert Einstein High are not involved in sports, need that extra library time, and that the budget needs to be reviewed, and that size isn't everything. President's response to the response of the Vice President's response to my previous statement. Duh, Lily, I did. She said she'd look into it. Why does Lily have to be so adversarial during these meetings? It makes me look like I don't have any authority whatsoever in front of Mrs. Hill. I really thought she was over that whole thing about me not stepping down from office so that she could be president. I mean, that was months ago, and she seemed to forgive me once I got my dad to go on her TV show so she could interview him about European immigration policies. And, okay, it didn't give her the ratings bounce she'd been hoping for. But Lily Tells It Like It Is still the most popular public access program on Manhattan cable television, after that one with the Hell's Angel who shows you how to cook over an exhaust pipe. I mean, even if those producers who optioned her show still haven't managed to sell it to any major networks. Vice President's report. The recycling bins have arrived and have been placed beside every regular trash can throughout the school. These are specialized bins that are divided into 3 sections: paper, bottles, and cans, with a built-in mechanized crusher on the can side. Student use has been frequent. There is, however, a small problem with the stickers. President's response. What stickers? Vice President's response to President's response. The ones across the lids of the recycling bins that say paper, cans, and battles. President's response to Vice President's response. They say paper, cans, and bottles, not battles. Vice President. No, they don't. See? President. Okay, who proofed the stickers? Vice President. That would have been the secretary, who isn't here. Treasurer. But it isn't Tina's fault. She's been super stressed about midterms. President. We need to order new stickers. Paper, cans, and battles is unacceptable. Treasurer. We don't have the money to order new stickers. President. Contact the vendor who supplied the stickers and inform them that they made a mistake that needs to be rectified immediately and that, because it was their mistake, there should be no charge. Vice President. Excuse me, Mia, but are you writing the minutes of this meeting in your journal? President. Yes. So what? Vice President. So don't you have a special student government notebook? President. Yes, but I sort of lost it. Don't worry, I'm going to transcribe the minutes into my computer once I get home. I'll give you all printouts tomorrow. Vice President. You lost your student government notebook? President. Well, not exactly. I mean, I have a pretty good idea where it is. It's just not accessible at this time. Vice President. And why would that be? President. Because I left it in your brother's dorm room. Vice President. What were you doing with the student government notebook in my brother's dorm room? President. I was just visiting him, okay? Vice President. Was that all you were doing? Just visiting him? President. Yes. Madam Treasurer, we are ready for your report now. Okay, seriously, what's with the, was that all you were doing? You so know she was talking about sex, and in front of Mrs. Hill, too, as if Lily doesn't know perfectly well where Michael and I stand on that subject. Could it be that maybe she's nervous about No More Corn being better than any of her stories? No, that's not possible. I mean, No More Corn is about a sensitive young loner who becomes so distressed over the alienation he feels at the expensive Upper East Side prep school his parents send him to, as well as that school cafeteria's insistence on putting corn in the chili, ignoring his frequent requests to them to not do so, that he eventually jumps in front of an F train. But is this really a better plot than any of the ones in Lily's stories, which are all about young men and women coming to terms with their sexuality? I don't know. I do know that 16 Magazine doesn't tend to publish stories with explicit sex scenes in them. I mean, it has articles about birth control and testimonials from girls who got STDs or had unwanted pregnancies or got sold into white slavery or whatever. But it never picks stories with stuff like that in them for its fiction contest. When I mentioned this to Lily, though, she said they would probably make an exception if the story were good enough, which hers definitely are, according to her anyway. I just hope Lily's expectations aren't too unrealistic. Because, okay, one of the first rules of fiction is to write what you know. And I have never been a boy, hated corn, or felt alienated enough to jump in front of an F train. But Lily's never had sex, and all 5 of her stories have sex in them. In one of them, the heroine has sex with a teacher. You know that's not written from personal experience. I mean, except for Coach Wheaton, who is now engaged to Mademoiselle Klein and wouldn't even look at a student. There isn't a single male teacher in this school anyone could remotely consider hot. Well, anyone except my mom, of course, who apparently found Mr. G's alleged hotness, ew, irresistible. Treasurer's report. We have no money left. Wait. What did Ling Su say? Tuesday, March 2nd, The Plaza, Princess Lessons. Well, that's it then. The student government of Albert Einstein High is broke. Busted. Bankrupt. Tapped out. We're the first government in the history of Albert Einstein High School to have run through their entire budget in only 7 months, with 3 more still to go. The first government ever not to have enough money to rent Alice Tully Hall at Lincoln Center for the senior class's commencement ceremony. And it's apparently all my fault for appointing an artist as treasurer. I told you I'm no good with money, was all Ling Su kept repeating over and over again. I told you not to make me be treasurer. I told you to make Boris treasurer. But you wanted it to be all about girl power. Well, this girl is also an artist.